Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Living in the Limelight, an Anton Scholl and Friends podcast where we discuss music from the artist and fan perspective. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right, welcome to another edition of Living in the Limelight podcast. Very special guest today, a return guest, the metal goddess herself, Tülin. Howey, how are you?
Great. How you doing, Anton?
All right. Very good. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been on the podcast together. Last time we talked about everything that was going on with Empire of Desire, and your music. And since then, you've been doing a lot of recording on your own. You have your own little recording studio set up. So I do want to talk about that because, I have mine and I like to talk about that kind of stuff. And like over the year or so, there has been a lot of controversy going on with AI music. And I know it's a hot topic and a hot subject for certain people. Musicians look at it one way, listeners look at it another way. So we're going to kind of get into the pros and cons, the good and bad, if there is any from a musician standpoint. But I honestly think that there is. So let's jump in. But first, let me find a little bit about what you've been doing in your studio and how it differs from what you do on your own by playing the instruments and doing everything kind of on your own versus recording with a full metal band.
Okay. Yeah. So I went ahead and got certified through Berklee College of Music, Berklee Online, and spent thousands of dollars to do this because I wanted to write music that might be a little bit different than what I've been writing with Empire of Desire. And I wanted the freedom to write it any way I wanted. But there are, I think 2 songs, Sands of Time, which we'll probably go back to doing, which I did write on my own, and then Empire of Desire picked that up. So the whole idea was to write the music and then see where it goes. So if it was Empire of Desire genre of music, we could use that and then do it the right way, where we go into a studio and we put down each track and just do it the traditional way of writing and recording music. But I started to also want to do music that was, I created all the parts to it because I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit more complex, maybe theatrical, adding those elements. And I used 2 different digital workstations. I use Logic Pro and I use Pro Tools. And Logic Pro, I have a little bit more learning curve to go on, but Logic Pro has a drummer in there. It's a plug-in. And what you can do is you can go in and it can play just about any kind of kit. It starts off with a real basic drum beat, and then you can change that and adjust that any way you want. And that, I think, is more software oriented. That's not AI. So to me, that drum, I can play the bass and the guitar and sing, but drums, that's impossible. I'm never going to be able to pull that off, So that's very helpful. It has crossed my mind to maybe go in and get one of those AI programs where it fills in everything around my voice and maybe guitar and stuff. That would just speed things up so much. But this is the funny thing, is I actually asked ChatGPT about that. I asked him, hey, is this a good idea? And for some reason it was saying no, it wasn't. And I'm thinking, that's odd, It's ChatGPT, which is AI, is saying it's not a great idea. But I think it's if you're doing it professionally. So you were saying that you're hearing music on platforms that sell music, and so who's making the money doing that? And I'm kind of a little bit curious about that. Are they making money off of AI? Or is it just? Yeah, so I think that's where it's stinging a little bit. The dig is.
Right. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I've been talking to musicians just like yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm one also. Okay, I'm in my studio and I work with I'm usually a vocalist and a bass player. I used to play guitar. I don't play guitar as much anymore, but I cannot do drums to save my life. And one of the worst, most difficult tasks in life as a musician is either getting a good drum track down, especially if you're in the recording studio, getting a good drum track down, and getting all of the musicians at once to be able to record something has been a life's nightmare. And I've had a bunch of music, and I've had a bunch of, ideas that I wanted to put together. And I was actually working with a musician, Mark Greenwald. I was working with Mark, and he had this song that he wanted me to record the vocals on. And he gave me a piano. It was all piano. And he said, I'd like you to sing on this song. He gave me the lyrics. He said, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd love for you to sing on it. And it was called Just Desserts. And I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. And he said, all right, give me a little bit of time to work on the music. Well, he sent me this full-blown production of the song. And I listened to it, and I said, man, that's awesome. How did you, I know he plays every instrument, this guy. He's a wonderful musician. He sings, he plays guitar. He buys, mandolins, ukuleles, triangles. He buys every instrument in the world because he wants to play every single one. So here is where it got a little, for him, it made a lot of work for him, but boy, he enjoyed it like crazy. But what he did was he put just the piano track with his vocal in this AI program, and it spit out in about 45 seconds. It spit out the entire song, drums, keyboards, all of the other instruments that he had asked for, and it sounded amazing. And then he said, practice with this and go ahead and sing on it. So I did. I sang on the song. But in the meantime, what he did was he took the AI tracks and he recreated every one of them on his own.
Okay.
So he went back in the studio and he sent me something like 32 tracks of music. He did, he put a Gibson guitar, a Strat. He did all of the different guitars on there on one solo. He did all of his others. It was amazing how he went back and did that. But in his case, what he was doing was he was using AI to finish the song and put it together to see what other instruments would sound like within that song. And then he used that idea of his original music. It was all his music. And he then recreated the entire song, based on that. And then I went ahead and I sang the vocals, and we did release the song in it, and it turned out great. Now, let's talk about the opposite side of that, whereas the musician, he went back in and he redid everything, okay? 100% human element. It was all his music, all his, right? Now, other people, myself included, doesn't have the ability to play every single instrument, right?
Right.
So I had music that was put aside for many, many years. All original music. I had it on 4-track cassette. I had it on 8-track, on the VHS tapes when we used to record on VHS tapes. I had it on CD. I had all of this music that was demo, bad recording, right? I would take one of those songs, I would plug it into the AI program. It recreated the entire song as it's played. Recreated the entire song. If there was some gaps or stops or something that wasn't right, it fixed it. And then it gave me back every track of the songs separated. And then I was able to use that as my music. And then I would record over it my vocals.
Got it.
And then so that is how I use it when it comes to, if I'm going to be using something like, I can't recreate every single instrument and it's my song, so I'm going to put my demo in. It's going to clean it up. It's going to separate all the tracks out for me. And then I'm going to be able to put it into my Pro Tools program and then I'm going to be able to sing over it with my natural voice. Or if I wanted to add bass, or if I wanted to add guitar or something else, I can do that. I can pull out what I don't want, but I could use things like the drum tracks, the guitar that I'm not going to play anymore, or the keyboard that I don't know how to play, and all of that.
Got it.
From that standpoint, I can see the use of it. And then you get to the people who will go into the AI program and say, create me a heavy metal song, and it's going to be about a breakup in a marriage and going to a rock concert instead, or whatever.
Right.
And it's going to create a song in 45 seconds for you, and then these people go ahead and they release it on Spotify as their own music. That is the big one, all right?
Oh, man, yeah.
There's a lot of music out there right now that we wouldn't even know is AI unless you really look into it. So then, knowing all of that now, what your thoughts on AI when I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago was the human element, the creativity, all of that stuff, right? So let me hear your take on AI from your standpoint.
Well, I actually saw someone doing kind of, you were talking about the controversy, and she's a female musician. I'm not going to say who it was, but she was very upset about it, very upset. And in my my teachings, what I was taught in college about music business is that if you go back in history, all the way back, now remember, there was a time that recorded music did not exist. Everything was live. Everything was done live, the orchestration, everything. And as time went by, things became more modern, We started coming up with, the record, the tape, and then the CD. Remember that? And we thought CD was going to replace records and tapes and things like that. But there's still a market for all that, And I think that is just a way of... AI can be useful. The question is it going to replace us? That's the worry. And the other half of it is it taking away something that that people can benefit from as a musician if they're working through perfecting a song, what they can put into it. Now, I'm multi-instrumental, but I don't play the drums. And so for me, I'm tempted to do that. I'm tempted to go in and pull in drums. But it's interesting to me that that these are songs being released and people don't realize that it's AI that's creating them, because one of the things that how music, for instance, the Beatles, connects with the audience is that they're translating feeling and emotions into songs, and it connects with people through the heart, not through the head, So people are connecting on an emotional level. So how do you connect emotionally to AI when it's not real? It's not a real human being. The AI never experienced heartache. It never experienced, the blues. It never experienced his wife leaving him, or the exhilaration of being around people, things like that. I mean, it can mimic it, but it never truly experienced it. So that's kind of what I'm kind of wondering how that's gonna translate. Now, if it's like electronic music, and no, you're talking like it's writing music like my dog got run over and my wife left me, or my husband, that kind of stuff is actually translating it and making it sound so real that people don't realize that it's not human. So that's kind of wild to me.
Now, do you think that people care? Do you think that the listener, let's take it from the standpoint of the average listener. That you and I, when we release music, right, we want, obviously, people to hear our music, right? But yet I listen to these people and I ask everyone, what do you listen to? Do you listen to Spotify? Do you listen to YouTube? I want to try to keep up on what's going on so I know where to release my music and how to get people to listen to it, right? I have heard so many people just say, oh, here's what I listen to. And I listen to it and it is AI. And I say, you realize that's AI created, right? And they're like, I don't care. I don't care who creates it. I'm not I'm not gonna go see this person in concert. Just something I want to listen to.
Well, and that's it though. There are people who want to see them in concert.
Yes.
But they could put it on video. I've seen videos of songs. But in the end, for instance, I grew up listening to Dio. And when I met Dio, it changed my life. AI's not going to change your life. Music changed my life. It was therapy for me. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that there is still a place for it, but it's not going to replace the true, authentic human experience. And I'm a very spiritual person, and I think we come to this earth to experience the imperfection, not the perfection. It's from the imperfection that we grow and learn. When I just recently threw out a video doing Ozzy. I didn't have any makeup on. I didn't have my hair done or anything. I'm going to just do this video, And I did a little piece of Crazy Train, and people really resonated with that. But I think there's enough people in the world, billions of people, that we have room for all of it. You just have to decide what you're comfortable with, what you feel good about, and in the end, how you feel, and if you feel you accomplished something. And I do believe that if you have ideas, it would be totally a tragedy to let them just rot just because you couldn't get the people together to do your music. So for you, I would definitely take advantage of the tools and the technology to get the music out there. If you're somebody like me, maybe I can do a hybrid mode where I'm doing a little bit but not all in, and of course it's going to take me longer, but I just think it's comfort level, and just have to kind of go with that. So that's how I feel. So if somebody asks me if I want to participate on that, I'll probably say no, because that's not what I'm doing. What it's all about for me, So
how do you feel how would you feel about if somebody was like, well, I am not a musician, but man, I love going to concerts. I love seeing musicians. I would do anything to become a musician or release a song, but I can't sing a lick of music. I can't play guitar to save my life. And now all of a sudden this AI program comes along, and they have ideas in their head, and they say, I'm writing this song in my head. Yeah. And it goes, bam, 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 and they can just sound it out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now they have the technology to turn what's in their head into an actual song.
I think that's like going to, like a water park and jumping in, and it feels like the real ocean, but it's not the real ocean. You're going to get some fun out of it, but you're not going to experience the full effect. So somebody who has an idea and wants to translate that into the music, I think they might be getting cheated from the experience of writing a song from start to finish, because you get what you put into it. So if you put in 10% and you get 100%, yeah, you're going to get what you want, but you're never going to get the full satisfaction of writing a song from start to finish, and your heart's not going to be there. I think there's a piece of soul when you write a song. Your soul actually infuses into it. It's energy medicine, it really infuses into that. So it may sonically sound good, but you're not getting the energetic value of the emotion and the feelings. It's going to come close, but it's not going to translate. I really feel like it's a shadow of what a song could be if you decided to hire some musicians or find some musicians and put it together on that. Then you've got like that human quality and the imperfection. Because, there's songs out there that they did that there's imperfections. People don't realize they were imperfections and they weren't perfect. Maybe like Ann Wilson, I think she did a song where her throat was slightly like not perfect, and it ended up, being a big hit. And then later on you find out, well, she had a sore throat when she, went in the studio and did that. Yeah. And people loved it, So it's those moments of imperfection that can stand out, I'm laughing because I just thought of something I remember just seeing about Star Wars. There's this like thing where one of the stormtroopers is falling off of a cliff or whatever, and there's this like scream like ah. Well, I guess that sound.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody did that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
They play it over. It's been used in a bunch of different movies. Actually, that actual scream. Yes.
I never knew that until recently, but it just came to mind because that's an imperfect. That's a perfection because that's the one they pick. But nobody knows this, and that's the fun factoid behind it. So what's the fun factoids behind AI? Well, there is none. There is no fun factoids behind AI. But, like, I could tell you, you know, when I've done shows and it looks like I'm doing great, that something happened in there that, you know, for instance, there was a show, I think it might have been the Images of Eden show. One of my straps came off, and I'm holding my, you know, top up. I'm like, oh, shit. You know, I actually ran off stage. I'm still singing because I have a wireless, and somebody had to hook me back up again. Nobody knows that until just now. You know, it's those things that give dimension to music, and I think, you know, like I said, I think that you can do what your friend did, is get the song finished, but go back and maybe have other people put in their energy, because it's gonna sound you don't think so, but it is gonna change the value of the song, you know, the value. But you're right, there's an audience for everything. You know, there's still people buying LPs, you know. And so I don't know what's going to happen in the next 20 years, you know. Maybe being a musician is going to kind of... I honestly think that it's never going to replace being a musician, but it might take a big part of the real estate of music that we buy and listen to and put to, like, if we're doing videos and stuff. So, I don't know.
And I think that's the fear. I think the fear is... Because here's my last scenario. Let me give you my last scenario of what people would or could use AI for, and that is, if you write poetry, you are a lyricist or you write poetry. Okay, now poetry can be turned into lyrics in a song. Okay, well, with an AI program, you add your lyrics to the AI program and say, I love country music. Turn these lyrics into a country song. Okay? And it will go ahead and do that. And now they have their lyrics turned into a country song. So like you're saying, instead of going out, hiring a musician or hiring bands to do that for you, you can get it done in 45 seconds. You know what I mean? And I can see people jumping to that. But with all of that, you're going to have all of these people getting on all of these music, Spotify and YouTube and everywhere. And they are honestly going to be taking over for people like you and I that are working hard. Because let me ask you this, how long does it take you to put a song together, you know, from writing it to finishing it, right? Does it take you 45 seconds?
It will never take only 45 seconds, you know. I think that as long as you look, I'm not going to make the rules for other people. If that's what they want to do and they feel good about it and it helps them on a very like growth mindset level, maybe that's where they want to be, and that's as far as they're going to take it. And if the people listening to it, if that's what they feel comfortable with doing, I think that's fine. I really, deep in my heart, feel like it will never truly replace. It will only be added to the bank of what music is all about. And, for me, I do use programs to write books. I do use it. It's still, like you said, it's still my ideas, the way that I do things. But someone else is filling it all in for me so that I can, translate it to what somebody might be able to understand. So I have no problem with AI. I use AI a lot to get ideas, but and I think that if there's a hybrid approach, like you're saying, if someone is a poet or writing their ideas out and they don't have any music ability, but the artistic part is they write beautiful poetry. I think that's cool. I think that's great, man, because it's just adding more tools in their toolbox of artistry to bring something alive, But for me, the challenge of like, I just bought a really beautiful Fender bass, and I would love to hear what that bass sounds like, you know. So I'm gonna put that in my song. It's like I don't want to like compete with AI over that. It might not sound as good as AI, but I still want to do it because to me that's a challenge that I want to take on, you know. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I would say that speaking from experience on my end with trying to work with AI to come up with certain things, the music, the bass, the rhythm section has zero feeling. It has zero emotion. When I'm a bass player myself, I would end up replacing many bass tracks because of that. Because it's just standard notes.
Yeah.
It's almost like taking the bass of the piano and just playing the bass tracks. It's very staccato. It's very, you know, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
You know, instead of what you put in with your hands and fingers and what you do, the emotions of when you're sliding down the neck, that doesn't really exist very much in AI. So yeah, I think that human element, I think, is important. And I also think that in general, I honestly feel that, you know, it's kind of to each his own, you know. It's the same kind of thing I have with politics. I don't discuss politics with people because I think that people have been getting too upset about AI. I think they've been, you know, really getting overly upset about it, just like politics. And it's like, if you don't believe what I believe, I'm not going to be your friend anymore, or I am not going to associate with you anymore because I don't like your beliefs. And I think that a lot of people have gone so far overboard on that, hey, you know what? We can all coexist. We can all get along. We love to make our own music. We love the natural emotion that we put into it. But hey, if somebody, you know what, I look at it, you may not be as talented, you know, as a musician as we are when it comes to you just being a lyricist or a poet. Hey, have at it. You know, do what you do. Do your thing. Express your art in any possible way you can. And I think the bottom line is that people just need to relax and do what they want to do for themselves and handle it the way that they want to handle it. But you know,
absolutely,
people are going to do what they do.
Yeah, and think about art, for instance. You know, you've got people who use pencil, acrylic, you know, watercolor, and then you also have graphic artists who use the computer to design and things like that. Did it ever stop people from doing paintings? No, people are still painting. I picked up, actually, the funny thing is I've been getting on this creativity kick, you know, where I bought like a bunch of stuff, you know, like I bought this spirograph. Do you remember spirograph? It goes way back. So I'm like, I don't think I'm doing this right. Well, how can you ruin that? I mean, it's got a wheel and stuff, but it's fun, you know. And I think the experience, if you're experiencing joy from what you're doing, that's what's most important. So I'm a big Adlerian philosophy person. I believe that living a life of purpose is really what brings joy. Not if you're making money, not if you're, you know, owning a lot of things, but if you feel like what you're doing is serving purpose, I think that's the compass that you use to decide what to do in your life, you know. So and it's going to be different for everybody. Now, when you're talking about politics, listen, I think that a lot of the issue is that we don't come face to face with the people. You know, we're building up a lot of ideas outside of, you know, one-on-one experience with people. Now, when I went and hung out at the 44 over the weekend with all my friends, I guarantee you everybody in there had a different political, you know, aspiration, a different political idea, and they can become very passionate. But when I'm next to a person that I love dearly, that I've known for 10, 20 years, and they have a political belief that's different than me, I'm not going to just sit there and, you know, unless they want, you know, I'm not that kind of person, but some people enjoy that interaction. Yeah. Like my mom and dad used to have heated things with their friends over politics, so I don't think it's anything new. I think it's the degree of how far you're going to take it. Do you take politics to the degree that you can no longer be have love for one another? That's the cutoff point, and that's the danger. We cannot cut each other off. We do that, we're going into another territory. We have to stay close as a community and work through it in a way that we could, respect each other's differences and remember that most people have the same ideas and wants and needs. People want to protect their families. People want to protect themselves and want to work and want to live a life of purpose and feel healthy, have a roof over your head, Most people are the same. So we come from that common ground. Now, like with music, it's creativity I don't think has any limits. And it's going to continue to evolve. And I think that at some point, people who are, using music to create AI, they might just wake up one day and go, I wonder what it'd feel like to play that instrument instead of, creating it. So it might introduce things in their life that, sparks passion to do something. So, so why would I want to stop somebody from experiencing music when it might be the one thing that makes them start to get into, playing piano or, playing the guitar? They might be inspired by AI to write, so yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it could be something. Yeah. It could work out to really help someone else's creativity shine.
Yes.
So yeah. I mean, again, it can be a good thing. People use it for different ways, and more power to them if they find a way to do it. The AI story of everything going on right now is not only music, it's everything else. As a matter of fact, I just was I was scrolling through TikTok, and again, what is real and what is not? You don't know. There's so much AI out there showing disasters, showing things happen. It's all AI generated, and you don't know what's real or not or what to believe. But there was a person a male who generated a female AI person, went signed it up on OnlyFans, and was making like tens of thousands of dollars a month on OnlyFans using a fake person. I mean, it's stuff like that you cannot tell. That's the danger for me, is I can't tell what's real or not anymore.
Yeah, I'm kind of losing interest in watching videos because I just look at it and go, that has to be AI. And it may be real, but it may not be, and I'm just like, that has to be AI, and it's kind of sad that you can't rely on video anymore to go, oh wow, there's evidence to suggest that this is real, and it can become very dangerous in the wrong hands for sure, so you got to use your common sense. And I'm more concerned about the younger generation as I am about myself, because we can kind of go, but younger people, this is kind of going to be their world. This is going to be what they're in. So they may not have developed the skills to question things as well. But, I don't know. But I think that it's like we have to get behind experiencing as opposed to just living in the digital world. We have to encourage the youth to still experience life in a three-dimensional, capacity as opposed to the 2D capacity of a screen. That they could hold on to that, and hopefully, and as you know, I'm a very spiritual person. I do believe that we're here for a reason, and I think that we will be channeled in the right direction at some point, but there's going to be a little bit of a chaos before that, a storm before that. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, and I'll end with this. As far as for me, I am a child of the '60s, and I will tell you that if the world were to all of a sudden go back to no technology and live like we did in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that, which to me was 80s was the greatest time ever.
Me too.
A majority of these people would fall off the face of the earth, because I know that these kids nowadays could not live 10 minutes without their phone. There is no way that they can live without technology. But guess what? I will thrive. So I live each day knowing that I can survive in this world if something catastrophic were to happen and we were to lose internet. Oh gosh,
Yeah,
that would be something crazy. But yeah, I can see that. But yeah, all right. Well, I do appreciate you going and talking about this. I know it's been a subject I've been seeing on Facebook for a long time, and I really hope that people kind of get into this, get involved in it, and comment on it, and kind of really kind of keep the conversation going. And I think your words, your words of wisdom about, hey, do what you do. And if it betters you, do it, but let's not force our opinions upon others and get mad at them and lose relationships and all that kind of stuff for something that we, that we
have grace.
So I appreciate you taking the time to talk about this. And
thank you for inviting me. It was great. I loved every word.
I appreciate that. So thank you for joining us on another edition of Living in the Limelight. Tülin, thank you once again. I appreciate that. And I look forward to just talking with you again and seeing how things are going in your studio. So hang on with me for a minute while we stop, and we will talk again soon. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining our Living in the Limelight podcast with your host, Anton Scholl. Please feel free to comment, like, follow, share, and subscribe, and also add us to your playlist on your favorite streaming sites. Thanks again for joining, and we'll talk to you again next week.